Please pardon me. I thank you very much.
Bring in you the news in a more digital way.
Anambra State Command of the Nigeria Police Force has repelled the simultaneous sporadic heavy gun shooting in Oko and Equilobia, when two separate groups of unknown gunmen engaged men of the Oko Divisional Police Headquarters in the Arumba North local government area in an early morning gun battle, and another group took over the Equilobia flyover bridge in the Aguata local government area of the state on Wednesday, resulting in the death of two members of the public and set ablaze the patrol vehicle of Agonichemba, the state special vigilante group, which, police said one of the attackers was killed during the deadly gun battle, and on Thursday, the police issued new updates, stating that an additional AK-47 rifle has been recovered from one of the fleeing assailants, while Biafra armed group, the Biafra Defense Forces, in a tweet on Thursday specifically denied any involvement in the mass shooting at Equilobia, stating, "Those impersonating them will one day run out of luck." According to the Biafra Defense Forces, the said incident that occurred yesterday at Equilobia is not in any way connected to Biafra Defense Forces, BRF, BNF, BLA, and BAF. Those impersonating BDF will one day run out of luck. Biafrans beware. Anambra State Police, in a new updates on Thursday, said that the police-led joint security force at Aguata recovered an additional AK-47 rifle with a fully loaded magazine in the late hours of the 9th of July 2025. The weapon is believed to have been abandoned by fleeing armed criminals following a sustained pursuit by security operatives. This development follows a violent incident in which assailants opened fire indiscriminately under the Equilobia flyover and launched an attack on the Oko Divisional Police Headquarters earlier the same day. The Anambra State Police Command acknowledges and appreciates the continued cooperation and support of residents within the affected communities. Members of the public are urged to remain vigilant and promptly report any suspicious activities to the nearest security agency. The area remains calm and under control, with surveillance and intelligence operations ongoing to apprehend the remaining suspects connected to the attacks, SP Tochukwu Akenga, Police Public Relations Officer, Anambra State Police Command stated in a press release on Thursday. Equilobia in Anambra State came under heavy mass shooting on Wednesday, when some of the unknown gunmen could be seen in the series of videos posted online by eyewitnesses took over the flyover bridge in the community and were seen shooting sporadically, which scared both motorists, nearby residents and other road users. It was gathered that the shooting lasted more than 30 minutes. In some of the videos, a lifeless body was seen lying inside a commercial tricycle popularly known as keke, while another clip shows a man lying dead inside a shop with a pool of blood on the floor. Anambra State Police Command, in a statement earlier issued on Wednesday, said that the Anambra Police-led security force contained a shooting incident in the early hours of today, the 9th of July 2025 at Oko and Equilobia flyover, Aguata local government area. The team also demobilized one of the armed criminals, recovered one AK-47 rifle, one automatic pump-action gun and 4 vehicles at the scene as the operatives sustained the onslaught operations in the area. The vehicles recovered include one red Toyota Camry vehicle with registration number NU58SC, custom color, GLK Mercedes-Benz without a registration number, golden color, Lexus 330 with registration number NU815 AP, and one ash Toyota Highlander with registration number GDD 517RW. The armed criminals unprovokedly shot indiscriminately under the Equilobia flyover. Consequently, in a swift response, the joint security team engaged the hoodlums in a fierce gun duel. Regrettably, the incident recorded the death of 2 unsuspecting members of the public and the burning of a brown Toyota Sienna vehicle allegedly belonging to the Anambra State Vigilante Group. Meanwhile, the bodies of the deceased have been recovered and deposited in the morgue. In another development, the Oko Divisional Police Headquarters witnessed an attack, but the gallant officers on duty repelled the assault by the armed criminals. No casualties were recorded as the aggressive pursuit by the joint security team of the assailants continues in the area. Given the above, Adequate security measures have been put in place at the instance of the Commissioner of Police CP Ikoye Oratugu FWCM NIPS PhD. Residents are hereby urged to remain calm as efforts to ensure their safety continues unabated, SP Tochukwu Akenga had stated in a press release on Wednesday. The local government chairman of Aguata local government also in a statement on Wednesday, said that, in the early hours of today, Wednesday, July 9, 2025, the Anambra State Police-led joint team, forward operating base, domiciled in Aguata local government area and the Agony Chamber Squad, Aguata unit, contained an attack launched by hoodlums in Equilobia, Aguata local government area. The hoodlums who shot sporadically in the air around the Equilobia flyover were fiercely challenged by our men and who in turn demobilized one of the armed criminals, recovered the guns and 4 vehicles. Unfortunately, 2 members of the public recorded fatal gunshot injuries while one of the vehicles of the Agony Chamber Squad was burnt from the impact of gunshots. The ability of our security men to contain the attackers is a testament to the relentless efforts of the Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo administration to equip the security system of the state, providing them with the capacity to secure Anambra State. On behalf of the good and law-abiding people of Aguata local government Aka, I express my gratitude to Mr. Governor, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo CFR, for his commitment towards a secured Aguata local government area and indeed, Anambra State. Great thanks to our gallant men for the bravery and uncommon patriotism. I urge our people to go about the normal businesses within our communities in Aguata local government area as our security personnel are ever ready at all times. Together, we will build the livable society we envision. Remember, security is our collective responsibility. See something, say something, Chibuza Fobuike, the mayor of Aguata local government area stated.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Kenya National Human Rights Commission, KNHRC, has confirmed that 31 persons have already been pronounced dead by medical doctors attending to protesters who were attacked on Monday by Kenya's security operatives and armed militias when thousands of Kenya residents came out to stage a mass protest to mark this year's 7th anniversary, an event known as Saba Saba Day that commemorates July 7, 1990, when Kenyans rose up to demand a return to multi-party democracy after years of autocratic rule by then-President Daniel Arap Moi. The united opposition leaders called on all Kenya citizens to declare President William's Ruto government as an illegitimate regime that is an enemy of the people, hostile to the people, killing the people by thus boycotting all government functions and activities and delegitimize the government's businesses and actions, insisting 2027 is too far for Kenyans to wait before ending the presidency of Ruto, and in a swift reaction, President William Ruto on Wednesday visited Dagoretti northern side of Nairobi to inspect the construction of 540 housing units project at Kilimani police station, and during the visit, the president addressed the nation and declared those are apparent protesters who attacked fellow Kenyans, police officers, security installations and businesses as terrorists, stressing, such acts are a declaration of war and he will never allow retrogressive elements who want to rise to power through shortcuts succeed. Opposition leaders on Tuesday accused the government of deploying unmarked police vehicles to transport armed gangs to perceived opposition strongholds during the protests. They called for a national boycott of all businesses affiliated with President Ruto's administration, accusing his government of deploying state-sponsored violence and extrajudicial killings on Kenyans. This regime is hostile. It cannot be reasoned with. It must be resisted. We will not rest. We will not retreat. We will not surrender, the opposition said in a joint statement. Jeffrey Rigathi Gachagua, one of the opposition leaders and former deputy president of Kenya, said, on the 7th of July 2025, the 35th anniversary of Saba Saba, Kenyans took to the streets to protest. Unknown to the peaceful protesters, the tired regime of William Ruto had a well-organized, state-sponsored militia working in cohort with the police to maim, kill, destroy property, and blame it on the Kikuyu community. President Ruto's ICC cases are still ongoing and were paused after witnesses disappeared. It is clear that history is repeating itself. Ruto is hellbent on finishing his unfinished business with the Mount Kenya region. To President Ruto, I say this with a lot of humility. Please stop being angry. The people of Kenya are far more angry than you are. If you truly want this to end, then restore the dignity of the payslip. When the middle class can breathe, they will create jobs for our young people. Stop the abductions, stop the extrajudicial killings. And if you want this to end, disband the killer squad. According to the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, KNHC, the Commission is still actively monitoring and following up on all reports and incidences related to the 7th of July 2025 Saba demonstrations across the country. Below is a general update of the human rights violations documented by KNCHR as of today, the 8th of July 2025 at 1900 hours. Deaths, 31, injuries, 107, enforced disappearances, 2, arrests, 532. Destruction of property, value unknown. The KNCHR strongly condemns all human rights violations and urge accountability from all responsible parties including police, civilians and all other stakeholders. We once again send our message of condolence to those who lost their loved ones and wish a quick recovery to those nursing injuries. The KNCHR calls upon anyone with information and human rights concerns relating to the demonstrations to share it through SMS 22359, email complaint@knchr.org and toll-free line 0800720627, stated as signed by Dr. Raymond N. Wairas, PhD, Vice Chairperson, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, KNCHR. Kenya Human Rights Commission, KHRC, in a video post on Monday had stated that law enforcement officers have killed at least 9 protesters during Saba demonstrations held across 24 counties. The actual death toll is likely higher. Given the nationwide scale of the protests, it will take time to verify and compile the final numbers of arrests and injuries. Press briefing notes issued by the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights as made available via the UN website on Tuesday. The spokesperson for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Ravina Shamdasani, said, "We are deeply troubled by the killings yesterday of at least 10 people, as well as looting and destruction of property in Kenya as police and other security forces responded to violent protests in the capital Nairobi and at least 16 other counties. Lethal ammunition, rubber bullets, tear gas, and water cannons were used. Police have reported that at least 11 people were killed, 52 police officers injured, and that 567 arrests were made." The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights reported at least 10 fatalities, 29 injuries, 37 arrests and 2 abductions. We have also received reports of looting and damage to public and private property by unidentified individuals in multiple locations. It is very concerning that these latest incidents come barely 2 weeks after 15 protesters were reportedly killed and many more injured in Nairobi and other parts of Kenya on the 25th of June. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk renews his call for calm and restraint, and full respect for the freedoms of expression, association and peaceful assembly. It is essential that legitimate grievances at the root of these protests are addressed. We note that the police have announced an investigation into earlier incidents. The High Commissioner repeats his call for all reported killings and other alleged violations and abuses of international human rights law, including with respect to use of force, to be promptly, thoroughly, independently and transparently investigated. Those responsible must be held to account. Under international human rights law, intentional lethal force by law enforcement officers, including with firearms, should only be used when strictly necessary to protect life from an imminent threat. Our office stands ready to support the authorities in Kenya in addressing these challenges, including in the investigations. Kenya Human Rights Commission, KHRC, had earlier on Monday published CCTV footage on its X social media handle that shows how goons stormed the Kenya Human Rights Commission (KHRC) offices at 2:08 p.m. to disrupt a press conference by Kenyan mothers who were calling for an end to arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings ahead of Saba protests. At exactly 2:08 p.m. East Africa time, EAT today, hired goons stormed our office, sent by the state to silence dissent. They violently disrupted a press conference by Kenyan mothers calling for an end to arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings targeting protesters ahead of Saba demonstrations. Saba has been marked annually as a symbol of resistance and civic courage in ongoing struggles. This was a calculated escalation in the campaign of intimidation by the William Ruto regime against the KHRC, following the extraordinary illegal rendition of our staff Martin Mavangina, and human rights defenders holding it accountable for gross human rights violations. We will not be silenced. The Constitution protects our right to protest and speak out. See you on the streets on Monday. State-sponsored militia attacked 2 journalists and stole a laptop and phones during a press conference by Kenyan mothers condemning arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings during protests. This CCTV footage clearly shows the individuals who took the items. We urge you to help identify the names. The Kenya Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, must act on this evidence, arrest and arraign the perpetrators, and ensure the immediate return of the stolen devices. Kenya President William Ruto, on his verified X social media handle on Wednesday, tweeted and said, "Those who attack Kenyans, police offices, security installations and businesses are terrorists. Such criminal acts are a declaration of war. We will not allow our country to be destroyed by retrogressive elements that are seeking shortcuts to rise to power." Enough is enough. In Dagoretti North, Nairobi, assessed construction progress at the 540 housing units project at Kilimani Police Station. We had reported last year that the Kenya Police Authority has redeployed all police personnel in Nakuru area within the country capital, Nairobi, following the discovery of dozens of bodies, mostly female, wrapped in rubbish bags and dumped into a sea of Nakuru slum, which is very close to one of the country's police stations. Kenyan police are often accused by rights groups of using excessive force and carrying out unlawful killings or running hit squads, but few have faced justice, AFP report ends in quote.
Public to treat this regime as a hostile regime. It's an enemy of the Constitution and of the people. It has declared war on the citizens of Kenya. And we, the people, must resist to be dragged into a state of anarchy. Enablers, financiers, and executors of this regime's violence will be held personally liable, both locally and internationally. The day of reckoning is coming. No badge, no title, and no political alliance will shield you from justice. This regime is now hostile. It cannot be reasoned with. It must be resisted. We will not rest. We will not retreat. We will not surrender until every drop of innocent blood is accounted for, until the oppressive weight of this regime is lifted off the shoulders of our people.
Mtu yeyote ambaye anaenda kupiga polisi, mtu yeyote anaenda kuvamia police station, that is a declaration of war in the Republic of Kenya. It is not acceptable. Sijui kama tunaelewana, my friends. No, enough is enough. Haiwezi kuendelea tena. I will protect property ya wananchi wa Kenya, maisha ya wananchi wa Kenya, biashara ya wananchi wa Kenya. It is the responsibility of the government of Kenya, which I lead, that is going to make sure hii vita ya kuharibu mali na kuchoma biashara ya watu itakoma. It must stop. Sijui kama tunaelewana. And we are going to use whatever means that is available to make sure that we stabilize the country. We cannot accept mayhem and anarchy to destroy the development we have in
Posters who are connected, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
3 Israeli citizens, Liran Yakovov, Natanel Aviv and Ozchai Raham, have been convicted for stealing properties belonging to victims of the October 7, 2023 massacre when groups of Hamas fighters invaded the Nova Music Festival near Kibbutz Be'eri, barely 5 kilometers away from Gaza, with over 4,400 fun seekers at the music party and killed more than 360 persons at the music festival, which led to the state of Israel waging wars in Hamas-controlled Gaza, Hezbollah-controlled Lebanon, Iran under Ayatollah Khamenei supreme leadership, and recently in Houthis-controlled Yemen. According to Israeli-based media, Unet News, nearly 2 years after the October 7 massacre, prosecutors asked the Be'er Sheva Magistrates Court to impose prison sentences ranging from 3.5 to 5 years and order compensation for victims on 3 Israelis, Liran Yakovov, Natanel Aviv and Ozchai Raham, convicted of stealing property from the Nova Music Festival massacre site. The defendants roamed among bodies and burned cars, grabbing whatever they could, prosecutor Tehla Needham said during Monday's sentencing arguments. She noted that some stolen items belonged to innocent civilians who fled for their lives or were murdered during the attack, adding, "They desecrated the dignity of the murdered, with bodies still lying in the area. Their actions violate the most basic societal norms." The prosecution also requested a fine of 80,000 shekels, $21,000, for the defendants. Anyone seeking to rob helpless citizens will not only lose out but pay double, Needham said. The defense disputed her claims, interrupting to argue that the accusation of looting near bodies wasn't in the indictment, saying they were near bodies or burned corpses, when it's not in the charges, is an attempt to mislead the court, a defense attorney contended, adding that the proposed punishment was disproportionate. The act was disgraceful, but not severe enough to justify such a penalty, the defense said. Judge Shoshred responded, "It's well known there were bodies there, even on October 8. Make your arguments in turn." She added that the trio's actions were planned, dismissing claims of them being foolish or childish. The verdict is expected by late September. It would be recalled that the Times of Israel reported on November 17, 2023 that police said that they had arrested 5 individuals suspected of stealing the sound equipment from a man murdered at the Supernova Music Festival in southern Israel, where over 260 were massacred by Hamas terrorists on October 7. The equipment, worth some 2 million new Israeli shekels, NIS, $530,000, was found in the homes of the suspects and then returned to Matan Lior's father. The suspects, named as Ram Shaheen, Yasser Matni, Daniel Hassan, Adam Abu Rukan and Son Tevel, were arrested in Karlansor, Asfiya and Daliat al-Carmel. They are believed to have arrived at the scene of the massacre near Kibbutz Re'im after the violence died down, taking advantage of the chaos to make away with the expensive equipment that soundman Lior, 35, had brought to the party. Police said that an indictment would be filed against the suspects, along with a request to confiscate equipment worth $185,000, $50,000, allegedly used by the suspects to carry out the crime. Lior was murdered along with hundreds of revelers as Hamas terrorists stormed the area and mowed down attendees, kidnapping many others into Gaza. Ofer, his father, said that police returned his son's wallet and ID card, which were also stolen, and added that the thieves had personally known his son. It was Matan's whole world, he told the Unet News site, adding that the perpetrators had even showed up for his son's Shiva to console the family. "They hugged me and said they share in my grief," Ofer continued. "I never thought they could do such a thing. It saddens me that they knew him and did what they did." The rave was targeted by Hamas terrorists when they stormed into Israel via the destroyed Gaza border fence on October 7. Gunmen embarked on an onslaught in southern Israel, killing some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and taking some 240 hostages. Al Jazeera on November 18, 2023 narrated the Hamas attack at the music festival with a report stating that the Hamas fighters who attacked a music festival in Israel on October 7 killing hundreds, likely did not know in advance about the event and decided to target it on the spot, Israeli media has reported, citing police and security sources. According to a copy of the first Israeli police report into the attack, obtained this week by Israel's Channel 12, Palestinian fighters had originally intended to attack nearby Kibbutz Re'im as well as other villages near the Gaza border. They found out about the music festival with drones and from the air as they parachuted into Israel. Some 4,400 people had reportedly been at the event that Saturday when Hamas broke through Israel's high security barrier, which includes radar system and underground sensors, and attacked military posts and villages in southern Israel, killing 1,200 people, mostly civilians, according to Israeli authorities. This Saturday, Israeli newspaper Haaretz reported that the growing assessment in Israel's security establishment, based on the police investigation and on interrogations of captured Hamas members, is that the group had not planned to target the event. While police found maps of the target locations on the bodies of killed Hamas members, none was of the festival location. An additional finding supporting the assessment, according to Haaretz, was that Hamas militants did not approach the festival from the direction of the border but from a nearby highway. In addition, the event had originally been scheduled to take place on Thursday and Friday, with Saturday added to the program only on Tuesday that week. The report also found that most of the festival goers had managed to leave the event by the time Hamas showed up and the massacre began. The large majority of people who were at the event managed to flee following the decision to disperse the event made 4 minutes after the rocket attack, according to a senior police source quoted by Haaretz. The police investigation also found that an Israeli military helicopter opened fire on the assailants but also hit some people attending the festival. No further details were provided, Haaretz reported. An investigation into the incident revealed an Israeli military combat helicopter that arrived at the scene from the Ramat David base fired at the terrorists and apparently also hit some of the revelers there, the news report cited an unnamed police official as saying.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Flights at McAllen International Airport on Monday early morning were delayed for several hours as 27-year-old gunman Ryan Louis Mosqueda ambushed and shot at the United States, U.S. Border Police Patrol agents in Texas, injuring 2 police officers and a Border Patrol employee, the suspect was later shot dead at the entrance of the U.S. Border Patrol Federal Building. This occurred less than 48 hours when, on Saturday, a North Texas police officer was ambushed at a DHS facility and shot in the neck by 8 men in body armor. These incidents happened amid nationwide rise in threats to immigration and custom enforcement, ICE personnel and Border Patrol agents over President Donald Trump immigrants' deportation policy. Local media reported that the federal agents returned fire at the suspect, identified as Ryan Louis Mosqueda, who was armed with a rifle and wearing a utility vest. Mosqueda was killed at the scene, McAllen Police Chief Victor Rodriguez said. U.S. Department of Homeland Security in a statement on its X social media handle, stated that, this morning an individual opened fire at the entrance of the United States Border Patrol Sector Annex in McAllen, Texas. Both Border Patrol agents and local police helped neutralize the shooter. 2 officers and a Border Patrol employee were injured, including 1 shot in the knee. All 3 have gone to the hospital. This is an ongoing investigation led by the FBI. While blaming politicians for the continuous attacks on security operatives, the U.S. Homeland Security Department said, this administration is not playing games with the lives and safety of our ICE officers. ICE law enforcement is facing a 700% increase in assaults against them due to rhetoric from politicians like Mayor Bass. Secretary Noem's message is clear: if you lay a hand on a law enforcement officer, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The suspect never made it inside the building but fired many rounds at the building, Rodriguez said. Mosqueda has a Michigan address and arrived in a car with additional weapons and ammunition inside, the police added. McAllen police responded to the scene shortly before 6 a.m. where the shooter attacked the federal building with an assault rifle at about 5:45 a.m., according to local media and residents. Local media added that Ismael Garcia, a 10-year veteran with the McAllen police who responded to the scene, was struck in the knee during the shootout and is in recovery, quoting Chief Rodriguez, who said it during a news conference. 3 officers sustained gunshots injuries from inside the building as bullets shattered the windows, sending shards of glass flying, according to local media. Incidents like these make us realize that we've to always be on guard to keep our community safe, Rodriguez said, adding that the officers and a Border Patrol employee who were injured, including the officer who was shot in the knee, are expected to recover. It was gathered that law enforcement officers at the scene found additional assault weapons and ammunition in the vehicle, and spray-painted writing was found on the side of the vehicle. Police is yet to provide further details of the lettering and stated that it's unknown if it's connected to the attack. Mosqueda is believed to have some ties to the community, as he was reported missing from a Weslaco address, approximately 18 miles east of McAllen, at 4 a.m. However, Rodriguez could not disclose the nature of those ties. Rodriguez said a motive for the attack remains unknown and declined to call the attack an act of terrorism, saying not enough information is available. However, the FBI will now lead the investigation as the incident involved an attack on federal offices and a federal building. Flights at the nearby McAllen International Airport were delayed for several hours as law enforcement secured the area. U.S. President Donald Trump, a Republican, has made combating illegal immigration a top priority, sending troops to secure the U.S.-Mexico border and launching aggressive raids in U.S. cities, which led to widespread protests by Americans against the White House policy. The anti-illegal immigrant policy supported by Trump's hardline Republican base have also led to pushback from Americans concerned about arrests of non-criminals and enforcement tactics that include officers wearing masks to hide their identities. Images from the scene showed Cordis Die, a Latin phrase meaning hard day, written on the driver's door of the white, two-door car. Cordis Die is also a fictional populist revolutionary movement in the Call of Duty, Black Operations 2 video game, according to fan websites as reported by Reuters. Reuters also reported that Mosqueda's father was stopped for a traffic infraction at 3:48 a.m. in Weslaco and told police he was searching for his son, according to a report by local Telemundo station T40, citing Weslaco police. Adding, Mosqueda's father, Jose Mosqueda, told an officer his son had a mental deficiency, had not taken any medication and was carrying firearms in his vehicle, according to the T40 report. Police identified the license plate of Ryan Mosqueda's vehicle and alerted authorities, the report said. Weslaco police did not respond to a request for comment and it was not immediately possible to contact Jose Mosqueda. The facility where the shooting took place houses Border Patrol's Special Operations teams, according to a former U.S. Customs and Border Protection official. Flights at the nearby McAllen International Airport were delayed for several hours on Monday as law enforcement secured the area. It would be recalled that several suspects were taken into custody after a police officer was injured in a shooting at an Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facility in Alvarado, Texas, in the late night hours of 4th of July, 2025. Local media reported that just before 11 p.m., the Alvarado Police Department said it was called to the 1200 block of Sunflower Lane, outside the ICE Prairieland detention facility, on a report of a suspicious person. When officers arrived, they saw a person who appeared to be carrying a firearm, according to a news release. Alvarado police said that when one of the first responding officers tried to engage with the person, an unknown number of suspects opened fire. At least one bullet struck an officer in the neck, police said. The injured officer was flown from the scene to a Fort Worth hospital, was treated and later released, Alvarado police said. According to Alvarado police, several armed suspects were taken into custody after trying to flee the scene.
Forces who are connected, bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Imho State Command of the Nigeria Police Force has given reasons why a suspected kidnapper, Obinna Orji, who the police said his gang are responsible for series of kidnapping and armed robbery in Anambra, Delta and Rivers states, has not been charged to court since he was arrested, while condemning an ex-social media post published by an account holder named Fisayo Suyombo, who has raised alarm that the police arrested and detained Obinna Orji. He described in the post as a businessman for 8 months without charging him to court. In a swift reaction on Saturday, Imho State Police Command, in a statement issued and made available by the command spokesperson, Okoye Henry, narrated and listed the alleged crimes committed by the detained Obinna Orji, saying, "The kind of crimes Obinna is allegedly involved in are capital offenses that police has no right to grant his bail, and the delay in taking him to court is because the alleged crimes cut across multiple states which required more time for proper investigation." Fisayo Suyombo, who often introduces himself as an undercover investigator, had tweeted on X social media on Saturday with a photograph of the police officer in charge of the case and said, SP Ola, the officer in charge of the anti-kidnapping unit of the police in Imho, has been detaining Obinna Orji, a 43-year-old businessman, for 8 straight months without charging him to court. SP Ola says nobody, not even the IGP, can compel him to act otherwise. And the police replied and said, "The Imho State Police Command is aware of a recent misleading publication on the social media platform X, authored by Mr. Fisayo Suyombo, alleging the unlawful detention of one Mr. Obinna Orji by the officer in charge of the anti-kidnapping unit, CSP Olademeji Odeyewa. To set the record straight, Mr. Obinna Orji is a key suspect in multiple high-profile cases of kidnapping and armed robbery. He is an ex-convict previously remanded at the Akigwe Correctional Center, 2017-2019, over conspiracy and armed robbery charges. His most recent arrest was based on credible intelligence, linking him to a criminal syndicate involved in trafficking stolen vehicles acquired through violent crimes. Consequently, Obinna Orji and his syndicate ran out of luck when they kidnapped Chief Ekena Okafor on the 15th of November 2024 and dispossessed him of his Toyota Highlander SUV, a gold necklace, and other valuables worth over 20 million nairas, after which a ransom of 10 million nairas was paid. Swift tactical operations by the anti-kidnapping unit led to the arrest of 2 suspects, Chidozie Chukwu and Uchenna Chukwu, whose confessions subsequently led to the arrest of Obinna Orji, identified as a key figure in the kidnapping operation. During interrogation, Mr. Orji voluntarily confessed to receiving and selling vehicles obtained through armed robbery and kidnapping. His confessional statements significantly advanced ongoing investigations and led to the recovery of several stolen vehicles across Imho, Anambra, Delta, and Rivers states. These include a black Toyota Highlander, another Toyota Highlander with a Bonyi registration, a black Range Rover Sport, 4 minibuses, and a Toyota Camry, Spider model. Further investigations led to the arrest of 9 other syndicate members and the recovery of an AK-47 rifle, 2 pump-action guns, over 40 rounds of ammunition, and other incriminating items, confirming the group's involvement in organized violent crime. While it is true that Mr. Orji has been in custody for a period, we wish to clarify that he has not been held for up to 8 months as alleged. His detention is related to capital offenses for which bail cannot be granted by the police. Moreover, the complexity of the investigation, spanning multiple states and involving several suspects, has necessitated his continued detention, particularly as his cooperation remains crucial to unraveling the syndicate's operations. He will be arraigned in court at the earliest possible time. The Imho State Police Command wishes to emphasize that CSP Odeyewa and his team operate within the confines of the law and remain accountable to the professional and ethical standards of the Nigeria Police Force. Any allegation of human rights abuse or professional misconduct may be formally reported to the Complaint Response Unit, CRU, or the X-Squad Unit for prompt and appropriate action. It is unfortunate that such a serious matter of national security was misrepresented and published without first seeking clarification from the command. Issues of this magnitude demand responsible and professional reporting, not sensationalism. The Imho State Police Command remains unwavering in its commitment to transparency, the protection of human rights, and the enforcement of the rule of law. We call on the public to disregard any misleading narratives and continue to support our ongoing efforts to make Imho State safer for all, the police stated.
Osazuwa Condemns, bringing you the news in a more digital way. Osazuwa Condemns, bringing you the news in a more digital way.